talking about multi-sensory, sensual installations that grab you, by every sort of input into your head. And I think obviously, because we do food, you need to eat. For me, it's a great honor to share a podium with Fabian, who does the most epic sort of immersive installations, cinema extravaganzas, and it's a great inspiration. I think all the more so because when you go to them, everything's real. So, it's not just, oh yeah, we're going to pretend there's some horses there and just do some flats. There are real horses. You can go live sailing. I think one of my favorite nights last year was for your, sci-fi, so good at present, Blade Runner, which was unbelievable. I think my girlfriend thinks it's because they're the real strippers that were there on show, so razzing it up. But it was very, very incredible. And that's what we try and do as well, is just try and make everything real, so everything's very tactile, you can touch it. There's no bullshit, there's no made up like, okay, let's pretend this bit of meat is from a mythical beast. If you want to serve people dinosaur meat, go find a dinosaur, clone it, serve that up, that's okay, but don't pretend anything, it's got to be absolutely real. And to start off with, I want to see something that was real and fun as well, just to get us going. And I thought what would be really good, is anyone getting married here this summer? Oh, that's not, it's a young audience, lucky. Well, we just very recently launched, we're doing a photo shoot with a really great photographer, Ron Hopkinson, and he came to us, we liked his work, he liked our group, let's just do something together. And we said, let's blow up some jellies that look beautiful. And we shot it, and it was so much fun to do that we thought, really, let's launch an explosion food service. And when's the time when you need a bit of a food spectacle? But that's at the wedding. It's your big moment. Everyone's looking at you, and you've got to do something really with finesse. So when you go to military weddings, they have a massive saber. So it's a bit more impressive than a knife. So we thought we could change it up and actually give people a big plunger, blow their cake up. We launched it. It was great. We had loads of people. Came on board, and they're really excited. They really wanted to get involved with this, but very sadly, there's been a very low conversion rate from interest to people actually doing it. I think it's when their parents get involved. They're like, "What? You actually want to blow your cake up? What about the thing for Christmas?" So I thought we'd do one. Today to start with, but it's been a swashbuckling morning. We've been in battle with the Daily Mail. And they've got the Katie, A Royal Odyssey, obviously, online porn now. But then it's also our next one of our next big projects is a pineapple banqueting house in the middle of the Thames. The headline is, "Do the Olympics really need a floating pineapple?" Their next byline is, "Absurd waste of money." And the slight difficulty is that we're still in with planning permission with City and Southwark Council. So they're right at the stage where if they think it is an absurd waste of money, they can just say, no, you're not allowed to do your ridiculous floating pineapple in the middle of the Thames. But the long and short of it, hopefully, with today, I'll persuade you that we do need things like floating pineapples in the middle of the Thames. It will be great fun that you can go to, and inside it's got a cocktail organ where we play tunes. It makes cocktails, and it's a vast organ. And we're trying to get a pineapple tornado, maybe, inside, if we do it right. But that scuppered our chances of the pyrotechnics to start with. But I've got something instead, so it can be real, that is maybe far more dangerous. So, that's our first thing here, is phenethylamine. Now, this is the only known love drug known to mankind. Anything else is nonsense, like Viagra. It's not actually an aphrodisiac. It causes a physical manifestation of love, but not actually the psychological effect. This does. When you read about chocolate companies saying, eat your Mars bar, and it's like, it's going to have an aphrodisiac effect. This is the active ingredient in it. The only problem is when you're eating a chocolate bar, it's a 20th of the therapeutic ratio, so it will not actually have any effect at all because your body oxidizes it very, very, very quickly. This, of course, is pure. Now, the thing with this should rise up. Maybe there will be some weddings later on, so we can get some conversion. The only problem with it is because it's pure. It's also very caustic as well. So whatever you do not drink it, because I've only got it out once before, ever. And I think there was a guy here that was on a date. He was a really nice guy. And I said, don't drink it. Just pass it around. Have a waft like that. A very gentle one, because it smells disgusting. It's got a practical effect, but it smells disgusting. And there was a sort of kerfuffle in the corner somewhere. And I was there going like, right, well, what's going on back there? I sort of dashed over, and he pulled something out of his mouth, and I was like, what's that? He's like, it's a piece of my tongue. At which stage, the event suddenly became very real, especially as I was mic'd up. I was on a radio mic, so everything that I was saying to the guy was broadcast round. So I had to watch what I was working on. I hadn't really eaten anything that day, so then almost nearly fainted, which wasn't looking that good as part of the whole thing. And so the ambulance arrived. He was quite a good sport about it. While he was going into the ambulance, he actually insisted on buying a couple books, and I signed the books. I was like, what sort of comments you write? Sorry, I burnt your tongue off. And luckily we stayed in touch. I saw him a few weeks later. He'd been living on soup, but he hadn't permanently scarred his tongue, which is great. Luckily. Luckily, the tongue is the organ of the body that heals quickest and can heal in a wet condition. But don't do that, please. Just sniff it really, really gently. So I will have it here. Be very careful with this. And pass it around. Okay, so that gets us started. Anyway, Sam Bompas Parr. I was going to tell you a little bit about what we do, kind of what we've done wrong with and the problems we've had with creating and designing for all the senses, and then showing how we're able to potentially do it right. And we've been going since 2005. We've done, and it's almost like the earlier stuff is most interesting because we didn't really know what we were doing at the time. So it was a really, really steep learning curve. And it was mainly, we learned all the stuff that we're doing because we did a lot of stuff, maybe not the best way, although lots of there were lots of things that we had to pick up. Anyway, so we started off and we just wanted to design jellies. We've since done other things like chocolate waterfalls and vertical labyrinths and death slides. But anyway, we wanted to design jellies. We wanted a beautiful jelly. We wanted a little stall at Borough Market. We're totally unambitious, just something fun to do on the weekend. Sadly, Borough Market weren't really interested. So I've got some great pictures of our first job, which my mother's a beaver leader, and she's got a troop of beavers, and we went along and was like, oh, well, they're having a barbecue, so we'll come and give everyone some jellies. It'll be like our first job, it'll be really great. We'll sell them for about £1.50. And we set up our stall. It was really gorgeous. We were all dressed up, little bow ties, little straw hats. Of course, there were two other stalls, and one was a chocolate stand, and the other was a barbecue. And we were basically giving away all our jellies, and yet these people were charging loads, and they had enormous queues, and no one really was interested in the jellies, which is a bit sad to start with, but we kept on pushing through, and really what we thought about was we needed something else with the jelly. Jelly delights, people have a jelly story, but how can we start to make it really compelling? And of course what we wanted is those beautiful antique copper molds, but we couldn't afford them because they cost 400 quid upwards. I think we now own one of them. We're doing some work in Australia, and people flew in to meet us, bring their jelly mold collection, which was awe-inspiring because they had literally thousands more of these antique copper molds than we'd ever managed to get. But anyway, so Harry trained as an architect. He was able to use CAD design to make jelly molds, and so then we could make them like this sort of thing, and I'll pass them around. So there you go. And so we started the computer, rapid process, so put it through a 3D printer, and then we can make something like that, which starts becoming rather exciting. And we were so excited about this, we thought, well, let's really push ourselves as hard as we can, and as much as we could, and just challenge any architect, anyone in the world, to come up with their own jelly design, and we'd make it for them, which is a bit of an offer. It turned out it was such a good offer that thousands of people did, and we then had to make them all, including like really good architects like Lord Foster, although this was pretty tricky because bridges and jellies are absolutely useless, and they bend in the middle, and they're it's too much more. But that was his Millennium Bridge. It's a bit of a joke, haha. And then there was Baracus Airport by Roger Stuck-Carver and Partners, which was a lot better. And it's every single one is about 2.5 meters long. Every single one is a different flavour of jelly. It's all fresh fruit except for the end, because you don't get a lot of fruit that colour. So they just went into absinthe and blue curacao. I think the chap that was designing it in the office started. Or it might have been Friday afternoon like this, and he started, his mind wandered. But we had so many of these that we're like, well, let's have an exhibition of them. And this is where the problems with jellies started really coming into their own. So it's probably quite a good time to start passing around some jellies. Just, Mike, can you run some up to the back, and I'll put one over here. Everyone's got a spoon. These are quite alcoholic as well, actually. It's a lemon gin. It's made especially by Olivia from our studio. Here, have a spoonful each. So it's quite a punchy pink gin lemonade jelly. But she makes the most beautiful jellies of anyone I know at the moment, and we learn loads from her. So we decided to have a jelly feast, a jelly banquet, an exhibition of all of these. And as you can see from there, they're only about this big. They're kind of small. And we put these tickets online, and 2,000 people bought tickets. And we just thought, right, we're going to be absolutely lynched, because all these people have bought tickets. They're going to come along to our very well-meaning exhibition, and they're going to see these tiny little jellies like this. And what's more is you can't even just put good ones out to eat, because they're going to melt in about 40 minutes' time. So you have to have other display jellies that are not even made out of a really good fresh fruit jelly, are just made out of paint. So they can set really solid with loads and loads of extra gelatin, so they can last out for hours and hours. So we thought, this is what we really need to go in really hard and attack every sense, batter people in submission with everything we absolutely could, just to enhance these rather diminutive jellies. So we worked with anechoic chamber and sound artist and inner ear scientist, rather bizarrely, to record the sound of jelly wobbling and look at the oscillations, then turn that into a sound wave. It sounds pornographic, and I think was the most watched video on New Scientist ever. No one could quite work out what the science angle was at all, but I'm sure it's in there. We're on UCL's portico, so we lit the whole thing as well. So it looked like jelly. We had people walking around. We had high hopes to get some very clever way to odorize it, so it smelt of strawberries. In the end, we just had people walking around with those like things that you squirt out onto your laundry. It's a fabric softener or something. So pumping the air full of strawberry essence. We had a jelly wobbling device as well. Here you go. Jelly wobbling device under the table, so everything was like wobbling around. We used lighting to make the jellies really pop a lot more. We had jelly wrestling, spoon dancers, and then jelly wrestling as well. And then had some Blumenthal's there trying not to be dragged into the muck. And the amazing thing was, what starts off as like this sort of high-end, very serious exhibition, people were a bit amused, and it just sort of descended into a massive food fight with everyone just getting really involved. It got a bit feral, people ripped apart our carefully put together display. It was magical, and I think through the problems of jellies, them being very small and melting quickly, we learned a lot about how to really throw a lot of other stuff at people. And the amazing thing was, I caught someone biting into one of those paint-based jellies. There were good, tasty jellies there. And they bit into one of the paint ones, and they're like, it's a brilliant strawberry. And you're sitting there going, like, no, it's not, it's made of paint, that's disgusting. Like, what are you talking about? And that's when we started really learning about, if you get the environment right, if you engage people on many different levels, many different senses, you can create this experience that's much more than the sum of its parts. So then we went on a jelly adventure around the world. So we did wedding jellies, funeral jellies, visited funeral homes, talked very seriously about funeral food, jellies in America, jellies everywhere, jellies in America, jellies at fashion shows, glow-in-the-dark jellies at museums, and we're still doing a lot of stuff with jelly. It's like this, it's kind of really, really fun. So we just shot these jellies in outer space with a brilliant Australian photographer. So it's supposed to look at Hubble, and blew up jellies with Ryan Hopkinson as well. But then of course, like, we're like, right, well, we've learned loads and loads of stuff from jelly. Where can we go from here? And where can food go? If we start looking at food as sort of a whole environmental thing. And so the next big project that we really learned a lot on was this thing called alcoholic architecture. And it was kind of almost one that we've done by accident, because I was sitting in this meeting and I was asked to come up with some ideas, because they had in Carnaby Street, they had this empty shop unit, and they said, well, you can do something with it, we won't charge you for it. Just come up with some ideas for it. And I came up with what I thought were 4 killer ideas, and I was pitching them at them. And it felt very much like that scene from Aladdin Partridge, with the guys desperately going monkey tennis, and it's just not working. It seemed desperate, and we'd never really been to a proper meeting before, so we didn't really know what we were doing wrong. And the back idea was like the joke idea that no one was ever going to let us do. And it came off the back of Harry and I'd been to Anthony Gormley's brilliant blind light installation. You go inside this great cloud, you can't really see anything. It's all done with water vapor at the Hayward Gallery. It's really good. And we thought, well, that's good. We're sitting in the pub afterwards. We said, well, that's good, but it could be even better if it was done with booze as well, because we knew that it going through your lungs. That's why if you're drinking champagne, you get pretty much twice as intoxicated within 5 minutes from drinking it as you do with a flat champagne, which doesn't sound that much fun anyway, because it goes in through your lungs and as you suck it up, and so it totally bypasses your liver. And this is the back idea, and they said, well, yeah, we'd love that, can you do it? At which point we're just like, well, we sort of theoretically knew how to do it, but we didn't really know how to do it totally in practice. We didn't even know that it was going to work until about 2 hours before we opened the door, and which was even more problematic, because again, we'd sold about 2,000 tickets to it, and we knew that it was a bit of an exciting race against time, because we had 3 weeks to put it all together, and at that stage, it was just me and Harry, and we had one brilliant chap, Robin Fegan, who's now doing some very excellent work of his own in this area, just hanging out the shop, trying to learn how to use tools, and hammer it all together. And so people came in. We worked with respiratory scientists that they could calibrate the rate at which you became intoxicated, so that when Westminster Council pitched up, we were armed with all our documentations that this is totally safe. This is when the smoking ban was going in. So people were really worried that all our staff would be passive drinking. So we had all the staff lined up with these great respirators if they went into the cloud. But you went into this cloud, couldn't see your hand in front of your face, and people really, really enjoyed it. It was great. And it was, yeah, so it was kind of a lot of fun. It's one of those things that people always call us up and want us to do, and we kind of think we should do again, but it's not much fun repeating the same thing, because you stop learning stuff do something more, but maybe we could do it in a better way another time, I don't know. So these are, we could get them all made out of, I don't know, glass or chrome instead of papier-mâché props. But anyway, so then we kept this word. I don't even know how to say this word. This is our approach to it. It's Wagner was really into it with his operas, and I guess, does anyone know how to say it? Can you sing it out? Give it a stab. Yes, brilliant. That's it. And so it's kind of looking at a total work of art. It's looking at a project which is just so sublime because it engages you on each level. You're putting together craftsmen from all sorts of different disciplines, costumiers, performers, actors, storytellers, set dressers, builders, designers, and to come together to do something really, really magical. And I think learning from some of the challenges before, now we work on a little bit of a longer lead time than 3 weeks. For some reason, even though we do that, nothing seems to get done until 3 weeks before the project anyway. So it always ends up being that rather exciting thing. But this is a project we did last summer on the roof of Selfridges, and again, I guess the thing that we learned before with alcoholic architecture is really just always go with your best idea. And now we only ever present one idea because it's probably going to be the best idea, and it's always the most outrageous one. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter. And so now we go for the most fun, the most joyous, the most we think outstanding thing that we can think of, and never give anyone any choice. Which puts you in some dangerous situations, but it's a real pleasure to struggle through. So this one, a brand called Truvia, does anyone know them? They make these totally natural sweetener. They're like in brand terms, they phoned us up. They said, "Could you do something for us?" And Harry was just like, "Don't even go near them. They're owned by Cargill. They're like it's proper like the." And I guess we're looking at this as like the Death Star of pop-ups. But for us, I was like, no, let's go have a look at it. And it's really interesting because if you're getting a chance to change what people put in their mouth, this is the ultimate thing. And I met their CEOs, and I've never met anyone that's bothered putting so much work into having a totally sustainable supply chain, working with the farmers that are producing it. And I speak to a lot of food people and go and see a lot of things. It was amazing, and also the fact that we'd actually get a moment to have an impact or be part of having an impact on what people put in their mouths. They launched that in 1 year of launching that in the States. It's a totally natural sweetener. They grew the entire sweeteners markets across the US by 18%. So if you think that's all the sweeteners that's in every single can of Diet Coke that's sold, that's like a significant proportion if you think of like the America as like a stomach. That's like a significant portion of that stomach is now being changed what it's going into. So that was really exciting for us. And the great thing was, what was even more exciting is we got a stab at making our own. Guess 7 months work. I don't know any of them, whatever it is. So we're able to put in all like the dream people that we could work with. So we had a costumier, I don't know where we've gone. We had food and drink. We worked with the guys from Caravan Coffee, Rare Tea Company, ECC, like Ultimate Bar in London, to do all the cocktails. And we worked with Camille from Tour de Force to design all the uniforms. So they had special fancy razzmatazz uniforms for all the different people. I was a little bit worried about what the barmen, who are normally pretty macho, were going to say when we gave them this dainty number here. But they really liked it. They all wanted to take them home. It was quite something. We also had a beastmaster with a whip as well, because we wanted a live snake pit when you entered. But that was the only disappointment with the project. It was a live snake pit got vetoed, but I've now got really good snakes contact as a result. And when we did our last book launch, we were able to put snakes in our loo, like above people's heads. So you walked in, there's loads of snakes, which actually again got quite exciting. Sorry, it sounds like a health and safety disaster. Like when we got the snakes in, and it turned out that the snake man's snakes had escaped, and that morning, so he'd just done a quick replacement snakes, and rather than the nice corn snakes we had, a vet came along. He's like, guys, you do know that you've got a restricted snake in your loo? We're like, restricted snake? Well, he's like, well, to put it plainly, it's a rattlesnake, which are pretty poisonous. So we went to our snake man. We said, look, are you kind of worried that people are in there by themselves with a locked door, with a rattlesnake above their heads? And he's like, well, it's a rescue snake, so it's come from a hard time. And I said, well, charity aside, let's have a think about this one. It actually turned out it was safe. It had been defanged or whatever it is. It couldn't poison people, but there was a bit of a worrying moment. But anyway, so you went in a library of adventure. So we got loads of. Well, I wanted a really exciting lift, and the most exciting, I wanted one of those ones like the Standard, which is like going on a journey between heaven and hell. Couldn't quite afford all the video technology, but we could afford cheap paperbacks, which we got loads of like great sci-fi books, which then have fed into our most recent projects, which are all about science fiction and food. I've got to get your inspiration from somewhere, and I happen to have 600 of them lying about. But they were there for people to steal. They will have book plates with all the information about the event that people discovered after they'd nicked them and got them home. And then we're able to get with Flood on the Roof. We've got this amazing stuff. It's called fluorescein. It's actually supposedly the secret ingredient of how they dye the Chicago River green each year. And it's done by plumbers, and they do it personally. They really protect what their secret formula is, and it is quite amazing stuff. But we got hold of a little sample of the Chicago River dyed green, sent it to dyes.co.uk, who are the top dye special in the UK, and they said, oh, that's fluorescein, no problem, this is what plumbers use. But anyway, it just gives the most amazing colour, and it's all UV reactive as well, so if you put that up there with the sun on it, it just really pops off. It looks beautiful, and together everything all worked beautifully. And I guess the thing that we really learned about that was people like getting wet. We're trying to do a lot of stuff with waterfalls in the past, and they've never really worked that well until we just did the waterfall directly on people, and everyone had to go through it to get their cocktail. And it's like torture or something. I don't know. They really loved it. And there was a girl in that hiding in the bushes there with a spear, and she would sort of jab it at people and kind of hold them underneath the waterfall. And people were just like, oh, it's amazing, it's great. So we found that there's this, and since we've been like really trying to break down what makes a brilliant experience for people, and it's kind of like the sense of anticipation, then like a sense of sort of enclosure and a bit of storytelling. So they're really up on what's going to happen, and they know how to behave, and they're really comfortable. There's still a little bit of unknown. Then, sort of in quick succession, a reveal, some risk. So in this case, the getting in the boat was quite risky. A lot of people actually fell in, so very unstable. The risk of going through the waterfall, and then quickly followed by the rewards of getting something you can put in their mouth, something they could eat afterwards. And then some way that they can reflect on that and contemplate it, and that's just like a bar to hang around in afterwards that sort of overlooks all of London, and they can chat and sort of reinforce it, and then some sort of takeaway gift. And we found that by I'm quite non-aesthetic, I like sort of laws, and if you're able to choreograph that sort of thing, then in the space of an hour, in the space of 20 minutes, you can give someone an experience that feels to them, or has the impact to them, that they've had, could have been a whole day of activity or weeks of activity. It's the sort of thing that they then will tell their friends about, and we know we've done something really good if people are able to come to one of our events, go to a dinner party afterwards, and the people that they're at the dinner party with will actually bother listening to them for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know. They can hold 40. You never know what I went to, and that's really cool. I had a video. This we came off. It should start. Maybe it won't. I don't know. No? Do I need to click or something? No. It doesn't work. It doesn't. It's online. It's of our last thing, which was an exciting climbing challenge. It was 10 foot, 32 foot of chocolate with the chocolate waterfall. We got really into waterfalls. And there's a climbing wall, so it's really good, it's really physical. It's a theme park ride that we built installed in 2.5 days at good old Alton Towers. And watch the video online, it's great, because it has Peter Andre who knew he was afraid of heights. And he came along to conquer his fear of heights. And it's really sweet because we rigged him up with a microphone and camera there for him to climb the wall, and he was genuinely absolutely terrified. But he managed to get to the top, he struggled to the top. But then also had this amazing guy come along, Steve McClure, who's probably one of the world's greatest climbers. He can do this thing where he literally takes off his shoes, grabs hold of the handholds with his toes, inverts, and can climb inverted using his toes. And it's quite incredible. He was great. He jumped off the top of it, which is 32 foot, and he was only disappointed that there weren't any extreme overhangs, so he could demonstrate his one-arm pull-up technique, which is pretty cool. But it's fun too. Anyway, so hopefully as well, it's all very well and good talking about this, but do come along. The next thing we're doing is making a cake-based crazy golf course back on the roof of Selfridges. We didn't collapse the building with 6 ton of water, so they've invited us back, which should be really, really exciting. So making all of London rendered as soft cakes, and you play golf through it, and it should be. It's quite confusing still to me, but it's all being built now. So the fabricators today is amazing. And then after that, the Daily Mail's hated pineapple in the middle of the Thames. So hopefully, which incidentally, despite their moaning out the cost, is we're building effectively a London icon in the middle of the Thames, and it's something that everyone will go like, wow, it's brilliant, for the cost of a small family car, and we're funding it ourselves. So I'd like to ask them back, is it the Olympics that London really needs, rather than these rather fun arts projects that literally tens of thousands of people will be able to come to, and they won't have to pay any money to come along to it, which is fun. They will have to buy a drink, though, for me to cover my costs. But thank you very much for your time. Hopefully lots of ideas. And also, because it's Friday, you can come see me afterwards, I've brought ether, hurrah, which everyone always loves. It's very much akin to alcohol, except it comes on really quickly, and if you've got jobs to go back to, great thing is you can get wankered off this and sober up in 20 minutes flat. and no, except it does taste disgusting, but you just have it on a napkin, it's really volatile. They like it in some places in Ireland. Hunter S. Thompson liked it, but you need to be quite committed. It is legal, just about, in this country and also America, although it's quite hard to get hold of. But come see me afterwards and have a waft of ether for Friday. Thank you very much.